Do not attempt to adjust your set. This is a Streaming Freedom Video Bulletin. It cannot be stopped, and it is the only free voice left on the net. Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. In today's Skyrim mod video on the PS4, I'm going to be discussing some mistakes that, in my experience, have led to mods in my load order disabling themselves, rearranging themselves, usually both. Now, before you get any further into this video, you need to know that I've covered this multiple times on the channel in the past, so if you've seen those videos, there's most likely not anything new for you in this video. I decided to make it because I've been receiving a lot of comments from viewers as of late again, saying how their mods are disabling, rearranging, and it's very frustrating to them. I know the feeling, I know how much of a pain in the ass it can be. Now, please note that I am Skyrim Special Edition PS4 Slim, so I don't know if what I'm going to discuss here will trigger this to happen on every platform or on Anniversary Edition. I can only go by my own experience. So first of all, I'd say one of the first things that is the major cause of the bug triggering, when you're online and you go into the creations menu, you never want to rush in there. And what I mean by that is you never want to go directly into the load order until the creations page icons have completely loaded. Now, it does not need to be the entire creations page, but when you click on the creations menu and you see the header of like what is featured and then the mods directly underneath it and you're just sitting there, that screen, let those icons load. I've discovered multiple times when I get impatient that if I go in there and then I try to go into my load order before the creations page icons load, 9 times out of 10 it's going to trigger the mods to both disable themselves and rearrange themselves. Why this happens? Bethesda. I don't know. But in any case, 9 times out of 10 it will always cause it to trigger, at least in my experience. So when you're online and you go into the creations page, you need to wait on that screen. Wait until the icons load. At that point, once those icons have loaded, then you can search for mods, download them, or go into your load order. Now, if you do not want to wait for those icons to load, say that you just want to do some rearranging in your load order, then you need to go to your system on the PS4 or the PS5, go into the settings, network settings, and disconnect the internet access so that the system cannot access the internet. And then launch the Skyrim app. What that will do is keep you from being able to connect to Bethesda Net. You will get a notification and it will ask if you want to make changes in your load order. Select yes. It will put you directly into the load order, and because you're not online and those icons don't have to load, you can then safely move the mods around to where you want and then reload your files. Now let's talk about moving said files, whether online or offline. So let's assume that you're online, you're in the creations page. You always want to make changes in the load order, placing them right before you're going to leave out to reload your files. So in other words, if you have a plan that you're going to go in, rearrange the mods, and then you think, I want to get another mod and add it to this, download that mod first. Because what's going to happen is, say you wait for the creations page to load, you go into your load order, and you move 7 mods into a new place, and then you think, I want to add this mod to my load order. So you go and you download that. What I've found happens when doing that is the mods that you previously placed will now either be down at the bottom of the load order or back like you've never moved them. So always make certain that if you're going to download mods, if you're going to do both, download whatever mods you want first. Then place them and reload your files. But you never want to change something in the load order, moving it, and then download at that point. If you're going to do that, move your mods into place, reload your files so that it saves the load order the way it is, then come back to the creations, and then download at that point. Now let's talk movement in the load order. When you pick up a mod and hold it, so to speak, you press L1 to pick it up, you move it to where you want, and you press L1 again to place it down. Now, you can cancel out of holding the mod. Like if you picked it up, let's say that you've had 7 mods and you want to move them into place. You've moved 6 of them. You picked up that 7th one and you've decided, you know what, as I'm scrolling up, I don't want to place it back where it was at, but I also don't want to have to take it all the way back down. I'm just going to cancel out with circle. Don't do that, because what you're going to find is every single mod that you moved will now go back to where it was at originally, like you never touched it. So never cancel out. If you pick a mod up with L1, you place it down with L1. You never want to cancel out and hit circle. Speaking of canceling out, something that can cause the load order to malfunction as well is when you're online and you go to the creations page. Same as I said, don't go into the load order too early. Don't cancel out of the creations page too early. Don't cancel out until those icons have either loaded or you get the notification that you can't connect to Bethesda net. If you go into the creations and then you're like, yeah, it's taking too long, fuck it, and you leave out, 9 times out of 10, that can cause an error. Keep in mind, none of these errors ever happened until the creations update. Okay, so now for what is the correct option to choose when making additions to the mod loader. You enable, disable, add, delete, whatever. So when you're done, you've placed all your mods, you've reloaded the files, you need to close the app completely and then relaunch the game. Now when you do and you select to continue, it's going to ask an option. It's going to ask, do you want to load save or current load order? Always select current. If you select save, it's going to attempt to load the load order the way it was last saved, not the way that you changed it, meaning anything new added or moved will either be down at the bottom or back where it was originally. So always think of it as, I want to use my current mod load order. The only exception that I would say to choosing save would be if you get an error where it usually triggers and there's not much you can do about it because it's Skyrim crashing. Instead of a normal crash, you're in the game, all of a sudden it freezes, but you're still able to hear music and you have to close the app to be able to get out of that kind of a crash. Sometimes, not always, I've encountered an issue where then mods will be disabled. And when it does that, if you go into the creations page, you're going to have a lot of moving to do. So what I would suggest trying in that regard, but it doesn't always work, is at that point, select your last save that you had played, or perhaps one before it, before you crashed, and then you would choose save at that time instead of current. That way you could try to reload the load order the way it was, but it doesn't always work. So that is my experience. That is some things that I've come across since the creations update that I've found causes mods to disable and reorder themselves. I hope that this video helped you out. Thanks for taking the time to watch it. Take care. This has been a Streaming Freedom Video Bulletin. Peace out.